Built for this network, for the strong, not the weak.
Official. Style Guys is trending for the holiday season. Located 1252 Burnham Ave in Calumet City. Being black owned and operated with new items weekly, in store, and even online. And with over 50,000 followers online, you can't miss out. Sales going on till 2022. Like jogging suits, hoodies, t-shirts, Jordan Craig, smoke rides, crisp, sweaters, and so much more. So beat the lines and order online from Style Guys, 1252 Burnham Ave in Calumet City. Contact them today at 708-801-9481. Again, 708-801-9481. Or check them out from Tuesday to Saturday from noon to 7 p.m. or Sundays from noon to 5 p.m. Style Guys, 1252 Burnham Ave in Calumet City. Life, fashion, style. Follow some of the newest styles by Style Guys in Calumet City. Lock in the Style Guys on IG or look them up, thestyleguys.com. Gone wild. No escaping this. 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 No escaping this.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escape.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escape.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escape.
No one's ready to deal with us.
You are listening to the end of the Bench podcast on Built for This Network, hosted by my man HRap.
Hello, this is HRap from Built for This Network. Thank you for tuning in. It's always good to see you. This is the End of the Bench podcast. It represents the Black Power series. I want to thank you for tuning in, and as usual, this is a podcast. What does that mean? You can catch me on any of your major podcasting streams, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Now, as usual, I want to acknowledge my family members, both current and from the ancestral realm. That is everybody connected to the Whitmore, Pollard, Patterson, Turner, Cotton, Battle, Bailey, Harper, Chris, Lansdowne, Shaw Walker. Man, I'm off a tick, right? Thompson, Lansdowne, Liggins, Trotter, Brandon, Brandy, Liggins, Duncan, Wilson, Johnson, Fitch, Lansdowne, Johnson, and Williams. I am so off. Bear with me. Maybe it's something. I don't know. Shake it off. But as I do every week. Now, the reason I do that is because my ancestors and my family are The people who support you from the ancestral realm is extremely important. Your family should be extremely important in your life. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. If you're not too busy, I need you to hit that like button. If you're on Facebook, please hit the like button. If you are on Built for This Network on Spreaker.com, I need you to hit that like, hit that heart. And if you're looking at YouTube, hit that follow instructions that are on the screen. As I do every week, I give you something to hopefully enhance your life, letting you know how powerful you are. This is something right here. I will be back shortly. Hopefully, I'll be on point.
I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. Welcome to the Black Excellence and Abundance Channel. Thomas Fuller, who was known as the Virginia Calculator, was born in 1710, somewhere between the slave coast of West Africa and the kingdom of Dahomey. Fuller was kidnapped from his native land and sold into slavery, where he was brought to the colonial Americas in 1724 at the age of 14. Although considered illiterate because he could not read and write in English, which was illegal, by the way, he consistently demonstrated an unusual talent for solving complex math problems in his head. Northern Virginia planters, Presley and Elizabeth Cox, both of whom were also illiterate, quickly recognized his surprising abilities and put them to use in every phase of the management of the 232-acre plantation farm, about 4 miles from Alexandria, Virginia. Working in the fields for most of his adult life, it was generally believed that Fuller must have taught himself how to calculate early in life, probably as a child in West Africa, before being kidnapped. In an environment where the enslaved Africans were forbidden to learn to read and write, he explained his skill as coming from experimental applications around the farm, such as counting the hairs in a cow's tail or counting grains in bushels of wheat or flaxseed. It is now known that Mr. Thomas Fuller must have already developed his calculations abilities in Africa. Believe it or not, his mathematical capabilities and his ability to do math was not rare in that part of Africa. Can we all just take a moment to recognize how amazing that is? In John Badeau's 1732 account of people in Fida on the coast of Benin, they found that these people did mathematical computations very easily and quickly in their mind, when it took others much more time and they were using a pen and ink. These were mathematical geniuses. Again, we emphasize what they were able to do in their minds. It took the Europeans pen and ink and much more time to do the same equations. And the Africans always got it right. Now, this information is according to John Badeau's 1732 account. John Badeau was a European. Allegedly, he also figured out a new way of multiplying how far apart objects were, wading into complex astronomy-related computations, now carried out by computer. Not surprisingly, his enslavers refused numerous offers to purchase Fuller because they had come to depend on his amazing abilities to measure things with his mind alone. In 1780, when Fuller was 70 years old, a Pennsylvania businessman and a couple of associates, on hearing of his extraordinary genius, traveled to Alexandria to meet him. Out of curiosity, they asked a few questions. 2 of the questions were, 1, how many seconds were in a year and a half? And the second question was, how many seconds had a man lived who was 70 years, 70 days, and 12 hours old? To their surprise, when he correctly answered 47,304,000 and 2,210,500,800 respectively in less than 2 minutes, each time one of the men objected, citing his own calculations were much smaller. Fuller quickly stopped the man to remind him that he forgot the leap year. That's amazing within itself. When the observer adjusted for the extra day every 4th year, the men grudgingly accepted Fuller's answer. Their observations of Fuller's
computational abilities were later submitted to the Abolitionist Society of Pennsylvania. Fuller lived to be 80 years old and the Columbian Centennial, and upon his passing, Boston, Massachusetts newspaper pay homage to him. The following was published in the Columbian Centennial on December 29, 1790 in Boston, Massachusetts. Here is a quote from the obituary of Mr. Fuller. Thus died Negro Tom, this self-taught arithmetician, this untutored scholar. Had his opportunities of improvement been equal to those of thousands of his fellow men, neither the Royal Society of London, the Academy of Science at Paris, nor even Newton himself need have been ashamed to acknowledge him a brother in science. This great man of mathematics was noted in the Boston, Massachusetts Columbian Centennial in 1790. And I can't help but wonder, just imagine all the greatness that was never realized due to the institution of slavery. Not only the transatlantic slave trade, but also the Saharan slave trade. Could you imagine all the greatness of all those people who never have an opportunity to fulfill their potential? As great as we think we are much, much greater than we ever can imagine when you consider all those hundreds, thousands, millions of people who never had a chance. The Black Excellence and Abundance Channel, where Black history is every day. Thanks for watching. We ask that you please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, thou art.
I'm back. And hopefully I'm back on point. Man. The reason I showed that is I'm going to talk a lot about education today. I'm going to talk about history today, not even really education. Talk about history today. Thank you all for tuning in. If you are in the, if you created a profile, come into the chat room. Thank you. If you are just listening, thank you as well. But please do me a great favor. Hit the like button wherever you are. The heart if you're on Spreaker. The like if you're on Facebook. If you are on Twitter. Or if you're on TheEndOfTheBench.com, you can comment on there, and I see that as well. Just please do it all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is important to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I'm going to be brief today because I have something else to do. At 7 p.m., I'm going to be on another show. I'm going to be on Queens 3 and Kings, and we're going to talk about something that I think is important. We're going to always have fun over there, but we're going to talk about something I think is important. But this is important. This is even more important. The history of our community. When you ask somebody where they're from, they'll tell you what state they're from. They'll tell you what city they're from. But at the end of the day, we're all from the same place. Everybody on earth is from the same place. The oldest remains in the history of the world were found in one place, and that is on the continent that's known as today as Africa. This is the greatest continent on earth. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, right? Now, the reason I'm even talking about this is it's important that we know our origins. And in order to know our origins, we must be like Marcus Garvey said, a tree with no roots is like a person with no history is like a tree with no roots. And the reason I'm bringing this up is we're in a turbulent times at this point. Right now, what's going on is a lot of basically the chickens are coming home to roost. At the end of the day, the chickens are coming home to roost. But the only way the chickens can come home to roost is if you set things up properly. You have to have a yard. You must have a fence. You must have property set aside so those animals will identify this as home. And what I mean by home is you must know your heritage. Remember, if you're from Chicago, or if you had WGN when you were younger, you used to watch a television show with Ted Lane from That's My Mama and The Love Boat. He was the host of a game show, Black History game show on Saturdays called Know Your Heritage. Your heritage is greater than America. They like to teach you, like in the 1619 Project, which I truly enjoyed. If you haven't heard of the 1619 Project, look it up. It's a book. It's a podcast. If you have Google Podcasts because you use Android, look up the 1619 Project. It's great. And if you have an iPhone, you go to that purple app that says podcast and look it up. It's great history for North America. But what we have to understand is, and to understand your power and understand your greatness, just like the brother who was a mathematical genius, he may not have been the only mathematical genius over here. He's just the only one that we know about and that is talked about, right? Our history is over 200,000 years old. Think about that. If you are a person of faith, you were told 2022 years ago, your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ died for your sins. So imagine 200 more of those. 198 more of those years. 198,000. 198,000 more of those years. See, we look at things from a very small lens. We have a very unique prism in which we see things, and that's what's holding you back. See, when it's a reason people from other cultures, like when you see people doing work in regards to home repair, it's usually a man and his son there. When you see people do your lawn, it's usually a man and his son there. When you see people who are attorneys, it's usually a man and his son there. And the same goes with women. If you're an attorney, you may have a daughter with you. You may have, if you're a bookkeeper, you may have your daughter with you or what have you. My grandmother, my grandfather, great-grandfather, Theodore Whitmore, from what I understand, my grandmother, Dolores Pollard, his second oldest child, was his bookkeeper. She was the one, you know what I mean? She was the second oldest, and everybody, from what I understand, say he used to fawn over my grandmother because he wanted her to carry on the tradition of the Whitmore clan. And if your father is a mechanic, more than likely you're going to be in the cars because he's going to keep you around. I'm a very loquacious person. My son is as well, as you'll probably see tomorrow. He likes to talk. I like to talk. And, he's a smart guy. People say I'm a smart guy. My son, he analyzes things because I wouldn't let him just be mentally lazy. You groom your children to be who they are. But my father, I had the curse of I had the displeasure. It wasn't a curse. I had the displeasure never meeting my father because he transitioned to the ancestral realm 4 months before I got here. But it's a lot of things that I picked up through him, through the ancestral realm, that I passed on to my son and my daughter. My daughter's the same way. My daughter's a lot like me. So we pass these things on. And the more you know about your parents, the more enriched you are. The more enriched you are, the more powerful you become. The more powerful you become, the more the things that are called obstacles that are set in your way will not hinder you. And we, as citizens of North America in the Western Hemisphere, from the African diaspora, we haven't taken the time to understand what's really going on. That's why we think we have obstacles in our way. The only obstacles is that we never look back to find out how great you are. Even if, just say, you really wasn't paying attention to your grades and you thought you were an average student, and then you found out you were getting all A's all this time, but you were still a cut up in class. That doesn't mean that you're not intelligent. That just means you never took the time to slow down and realize how much traction academically you had made. We never do that. We haven't been trained to do that because we are trained. Our history started in 1619. That's when the first Africans were brought here as enslaved people and blah, blah, blah. Man, see, so then you start your history in bondage. But you don't think about the greatness of Kemet, which, by the way, Kemet is the original name of the country, the country on the northeast corner of Africa. You know it as Egypt. And did you know that the mother of Kemet is Ethiopia? Right, the mother of Kemet. Like, you think, you've been trained to believe that everything happened in Egypt and this is the place. But no, it's actually Ethiopia. Or Cush, it's in your Bible, Kush or Cush. See, these are the things that you need to understand. You need to understand the greatness that, like, how about this? I want to say the wrong country. I think it's Mali. They have more pyramids than Ethiopia. You're not even taught those things. So if it was more pyramids in another country in Africa, so why are we always running towards Egypt? Exactly. Because when you realize how great you are, when you realize what the game is being run on you, then you'll start to study. Hopefully when you start to study, you'll enhance your life. You'll live a better situation. I mentioned this before. And we talk about Black Wall Street. Everybody loves to talk about Black Wall Street. But there was a bunch of Black Wall Streets. One of them is named Hayti, Hayti. It's in South Carolina. There's actually a news organization right now that has an app that combined all the black news organizations in the United States of America. Download it, you get black news. Like, if you think black news isn't important, I want, like, my homeboy, I was telling him about it. He said, "Oh man, I'm gonna listen to Rachel Maddow and all those guys, and I'm gonna get my news." But guess what? If it wasn't a Rachel Maddow, and no disrespect to Sister Rachel, she's pretty dope. I like her. But if we won't look at mainstream media or the media that we see on TV, we will be lost. Perfect example is Hiroshima. When the United States of America dropped those bombs on Hiroshima back at the end of World War II. They said, "Oh, it's not going to be nothing. There's going to be a few casualties." And a brother who's a reporter who had a background in medicine exposed the world to, no, there's going to be some radiation fallout for generations over there. This is going to affect them drastically. Black newspaper. So that's why it's important to read Afrocentric newsletters and periodicals and things of that nature and newspapers, because we're gonna tell you the truth, while other people are not allowed to, because they're owned by 6 corporations. If you're owned by 6 corporations, that means things are curated. And if things are curated, that means you're only getting certain things that pertain to you. But if you go to an organization that is directly important to you, you'll get better news. And if you go to the library and look into us exclusively, you'll find out how many great things that you have been a part of. And just like I am part, my 2 parents and their 4 grandparents and their 8 grandparents and their so forth and so on. Everything that is in my grandparents are in me. Everything that comes from Tuskegee, Alabama, everything that comes from Lakeland, Florida, everything that comes from Arkansas, everything that comes from Peoria, Illinois, so forth and so on. It's all in me. And all over these United States of America, where I have family and friends and cousins and everything, we're all epigenetically connected. And these are things that you need to know. Like, black people invented the concept of keeping time, aka the calendar. If you don't know that, you realize, wait a minute, we did this and we did that. No, I might have some to me, and that's what you are not. That is truly what is being held away from you, because when those things are held away from you, you will think you're just some regular schmuck, but you're not. You're part of greatness. You're part of a lineage that can't be stopped, but they continue to tell you you're mediocre, and some of us believe it and buy into it, because we only hear about Thomas Jefferson, rapist, human owner, enslave of Africans, had the very young lady that they claim is his wife, and he respected her so much, living in a cave near his home. See, these are the things that you don't find out about. George Washington, who married into money and said, "I'm gonna free all my slaves when I transition, when I die." And when he died, his wife Martha said, "No, I ain't. I'm the one with the money, so I am gonna leave these to our children. These people to our children." You don't know about Ona Judge. You don't know about Hercules. Yeah, these people are paramount in our community. Ona Judge was writing Georgia. See, the law used to be, if you stay out of Philadelphia for so much time, you had to be set free. So when they was taking on the judge back, a sister, she was like, I ain't going back, I'm out. She went up to New England, like, I ain't going nowhere. And George was pissed off, trying to set out bounties, and the people, some of the people that were around her, around at that time, they were like, hey, man, I'm not with this. And bam, there it is. You got a sister, and Hercules is a cook. If you watch the documentary on not HBO, Netflix, called Hound the Hog, they briefly mentioned Hercules. This is a dude who was a master chef. And he was bringing dishes, and he was one of the greatest cooks of all time. But you'll never hear about this because this is what they don't want you to know. See, knowledge is, that's why you heard for years, knowledge is power, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. It is. It is, because when you know these things, it makes you a greater person. And when you're a greater person, you can achieve more. All you have to do is believe. Hey, all those slogans from the 70s and the 80s and the 60s, if you believe, you can achieve. Those things are not just slogans. It is exactly what is in you. This is what your pastors and your church leaders and your imams and your whatever faith, rabbis, this is what they tell you. If you believe, you can achieve. And people don't understand that. And this is why we perish. Because due to lack of knowledge, it's in the Bible. See, we think these things are just cliches and things that people say, and I know that's just what they say. It don't really, these are the things that are truly realistic, and we must do the studying to understand these things. Otherwise, you're going to suffer the consequences, and that's just the way the thing works. It is a reason that they're busting their ass so you won't know your history. It is a distinct reason behind that. Why wouldn't you want somebody to know things about themselves? Why wouldn't somebody want you to know who your grandmother is, your grandfather, and all the way back? These people kept meticulous notes on the people that they enslaved, dates of birth, name, people who own them. The archives are there. Why would you keep that much information on hand, but then turn around and not want me to know my history? So it's okay for me to learn about you, but it's not okay for me to learn about me. Again, to quote the great Carter G. Woodson in this book, The Miseducation of the Negro, the same education that will educate former enslaved or the ancestors of the former enslavers will destroy the ancestors of the former enslaved, because it makes them way up here and it puts you way down here. And you don't even see my other hand. Way up here, way down here. These are the reasons these things are not there. Look, and for the people like my brothers and sisters that's out there talking this America descendants of slave, look, I understand the thought process behind that, but you do understand that it is literally the point of a finger to decide that you were in South America, you were in the Caribbean, or you were in North America. Only 4% of the people who were captured and enslaved came directly here. And what they would do is send you to the Caribbean and condition you, because basically buck break you. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed, and then send you back. See, we have to understand these things, man, and when we understand them, then we have a better grasp of who we are. And we ever get a grasp of who we are, at that point we'll be dangerous. We'll be extremely dangerous and uncontrollable, but we don't seem to want to know these things. We continue to try to fit into this settler colonial project called the United States of America, and it's doing us no good. You watching the news yesterday, this to show you how wicked, and I do mean wicked, the people of the world are. This war that is in the Ukraine, right? They have a war to start with Ukraine. The Russians have attacked the Ukraine, and everybody's all up in arms. And then you had this white woman on TV that says this is Europe. It's not like it's a third world country, so it's okay to attack what you consider a third world country. And if you don't know what a third world country is, a third world country is a country that's primarily people that they say underdeveloped countries and things of that nature. But they were doing perfectly fine until you and your people showed up. But it's okay to attack Rwanda. It's okay to attack anything in Southeast Asia, like Taiwan. It's okay to attack South America, the Falkland Islands in South America. It's okay to attack Central America. But if a war starts in Europe, how can you do this? This is because no one has taught you your history, so you can stand up. Because trust and believe, the people who are oppressing you, they know your history, and that's why they're keeping it from you. Look at your history like currency. Look at your history like currency. If you know that your great-grandfather was a trillionaire, and now you're living in the projects, if you look into your history, you get out of those projects. You can literally read your way. I said this last week. You can literally read your way out of poverty. Literally. The information that you get will empower you. Once it empowers you, you move forward. You move forward, you become powerful. You become powerful, you thirst for more information. You get more information, you become more powerful. And then it motivates you to create. And once you create, you obtain, you build upon that, and then you become a dominant force. And now you're no longer in poverty. You're no longer in poverty financially. You're no longer in poverty between your ears. You can literally read your way into poverty. We are in the midst. This is how powerful the European has become worldwide. He taught, like in high school. I've always been a history guy, right? Modern world history. That was Mr. Corelli. World history, Miss Austin. All I learned about was Europe. It was the exact same class with two different names. Miss Austin hated that class. It was him. And modern world history, Mr. Corelli, it was cool, but they taught us about what they called the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages. And the Dark Ages was between the year 500 and 1400 AD. This is when the Black Plague and King Arthur and all that foolishness and all that, even as a fictional character, but you know what I mean. This is when Europe was just eating each other alive. But the Moors went up there and educated them. The Moors. They are from Africa. And then we go black and brown just to be nice, but Africa is a dark country. Dark people are from this continent. I mean, Africa isn't a country, excuse me. Africa is a dark continent. Meaning complexion-wise, not dark, because the most gold, the most diamonds, the most minerals, the most sunlight, 84 degrees on average on the entire continent. That's where the most sun sits. Guess what? You know, we call it CPT. You know, we can take our time because we're genetically predisposed to relax. Because we don't have to hurry up and do anything, because when it's 84 degrees year round, things grow year round. So I don't have to hurry up and plant and cultivate and so I can eat weed all year round. But back to the Dark Ages. The Moors went through Europe and taught people how to bathe and how to count and how to think and a whole myriad of other things. So that's how they came out of the Dark Ages, and they took that information. And turned it against you. Because there was this king by the name of Mansa Musa. And he traveled and introduced the Europeans to gold. See, the Europeans used to use the continent as a way to get over to Southeast Asia so they get spices and things. But wait, hold on. They got gold over here, so they came back over here with force and anger and dismay. And then, bam, that was it. Now you have the continent the way it is, the world the way it is. But what I want you to do is think about it like this. Right now, in the United States of America, the people of Africa descend in the Western Hemisphere. We're going through the Dark Ages. It's been about 500 or 600 years now. It's been 500 years now, just like it was, 800 years, 900 years. But we're in the middle of the Dark Ages now. But I do believe with all this war and this chaos and this mayhem going on, we are entering the end of the Dark Ages. And that's why this racism is flaring up. That's why this white nationalism is flaring up. That's why you got white men who, my entire life, throughout my academic and social upbringing, you turn on the news and the country of Russia was the bad guy. I remember former President Ronald Reagan in the early 80s. Well, throughout the 80s, he came in 1980, he left in 88. They used to call Russia the Dark Empire. They did everything they could to stop Russia and Gorbachev and all these people, and they made it seem like the Russians were the worst people in the world. I even heard a sister by the name of she is a current actor, producer, Tony Award winner, Tanya Pinkett, said the first time she went to Eastern Europe, she was scared to death because all the movies she had seen that taught her that people from the Eastern Europeans were the worst people in the world, and she was scared to death just being there. And now you got people like what's her name, Ann Cohen, what's her name? Well, I can't think of her name. It really don't make a difference. They're talking about Russia is going to be the only place where white people can survive. You got your former president, white nationalist, Donald Trump. He's saying these kinds of things. He's saying that Putin is a great man. He understood why he did what he did and things of that nature. When you start speaking in those terms, what are you really saying? I'm just asking. I don't know. What are you really saying? If Russia's the only fight, we want a strong leader like that, and we want this and we want that, and that's what they want. That means anything rolling with brown or black or Asian or whatever, they don't want any parts of it. And if that's the case, not a problem. This is why you must learn how great you are, because if they are turning to people who they frame as their enemies, since the end of World War II, they've been framing the country of Russia as the enemy, because the Russians helped beat what's the boy name, Hitler, and then the Russians were in bed with Fidel Castro allegedly, and they tried to put nuclear weapons on the country of Cuba, and they were linked up with him. But no, they don't tell you that Fidel Castro used to help the apartheid effort. He was sending money over there and military assistance over there. They didn't tell you that. But see, these are the things that you must learn and be attached to, so you understand everything that's being framed is not the entire picture. Again, just because it's being framed, you can frame my eyes, but I still have a nose, I still have a mouth, I still have a forehead, I still have hair, I still have a beard. But if you only frame my eyes, I'm just eyes. I'm just a set of eyes, and that's what we've been living upon for the last 100 years. That we should be trying to get into this. We should be trying to get into that. No, we don't have to. If we look at the United States of America as it's currently constructed and juxtapose it to the history of the African, it is, look at it like this, that we were numbers on a clock. This 400-year period in North America is literally 5 minutes in the history of our culture. 200,000 years versus 44 years. 400 years. Listen to that. You gonna compare 200,000 years to 400 years. That is a vastly, insanely small amount of time. But we've been led to believe that's like 2,000ths of our existence, 200ths of our existence. That's like 002. So if you want to believe that America has your best interests and America is where you started again, go right ahead. You play right into their hands. You don't realize the power and being of this hue, of this lineage, and then you'll be trapped sooner versus later. But when you start to study and you start to get involved and get into it, and then you can move forward and take care of everything that you need to take care of. And that's just the bottom line. Period. Point blank. End of story. Period. Point blank. End of story. Here goes some more information to show you how powerful you are. I'll be back shortly.
I know thy works, and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Welcome to the Black Excellence and Abundance Channel. John W. Barfield, born February 8, 1927, in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, was an African-American businessman who served in the U.S. Army in France and in Germany. In 1945, 17-year-old John, who was the son of an Alabama sharecropper, dropped out of high school to enlist in the Army, serving 2 years. Upon his discharge, he worked as a custodian for $1.75 per hour at the University of Michigan. In 1955, while working as a custodian, Mr. Barfield, together with his wife Betty, went on to start a cleaning company, which eventually employed over 200 people. Hard work and dedication eventually led him to form his own company, the Barfield Cleaning Company, headquartered in Ypsilanti, Michigan, which was later acquired by International Telephone and Telegraph Company in 1969. In 1974, Mr. Barfield incorporated Barfield Building Maintenance Company, which was acquired by Unified Building Maintenance Services, Inc. of Washington, D.C. in 1986. In 1977, he incorporated John Barfield and Associates, later renamed Bartech, Inc. And a year later, he founded the Barfield Manufacturing Company, which was acquired by Mascotech Industries in 1991. In 1985, Bartech was named Company of the Year by Black Enterprise Magazine and Outstanding Enterprise of the Year by the Michigan Department of Commerce and given the Award of Excellence from EG&G Mount Applied Technologies in 1989 and 1990. In 1993, Chrysler Corporation awarded Bartech the Gold Pentastar Award. Mr. Barfield received the 1994 Laureate Award by the Junior Achievement of the Southeastern Michigan Business Hall of Fame. The company has achieved many quality awards, including receipt in 1995 of the ISO 9002-94 registration in recognition of its quality operating system, as well as the prestigious Ford Motor Company's Q1 Award 1996. Mr. Barfield was committed to doing quality work, and he always gave and demanded the best of his employees, and it showed. Mr. Barfield was active in many business and community organizations. He was a member of the board of directors of Spalding for Children and Park Ridge Community Center, and was a member of the advisory board for the Samuel Zell and Robert H. Laurie Institute for Entrepreneurial Studies at the University of Michigan. His past leadership involvement included organizations such as the United Negro College Fund, State of Michigan Community Services Commission, and Rotary International. He also supported many humanitarian causes for the eradication of polio, to saving a youth community center locally, to building wells and providing safe drinking water in developing countries such as Haiti and Africa. Mr. Barfield was a visionary who started from humble beginnings, and he founded a company, a $2 billion workforce solution company that employed over 2,600 people. Not bad for a man who was the son of a sharecropper. John W. Barfield, born son of a sharecropper, died a multi-billionaire. He is an inspiration to all, and he proved the only limitations we have are the limitations in our mind. He lived an excellent and abundant life. Thank you, Mr. Barfield, and may God
And I'm back. As you see, as you just seen, you just viewed exactly what I'm talking about. When you know who you are, you know where you come from, you understand that where you come from is not where you end up at. This dude was a janitor. He comes from sharecroppers, people who were forced into slavery, into a contract that they could possibly never fulfill. And then he died one of the richest men in the country. And this is what I'm talking about. When you know where you come from, you understand work, for one. Then you understand how powerful you are, for two. And then you understand that the only limit is the sky, and the sky's the limit. And there is no limitations to the sky because the sky is endless. So this is what I'm saying. You know, when we looking at this country, I want us to understand that we are in a game of monopoly. We are truly in a game of monopoly. And it's just like with Kunta Kinte. He was separated from his family, but he still remembered the traditions. And when you get up, then you had Kizzy, and then you had Chicken George, and so forth and so on, and it manifests itself into Alex Haley. Now, some people have questioned our brother Haley, and I'm not in the business of questioning any of that. But what I'm showing you time and time again is when you know your past, you know how powerful you are in the future, and you understand that there's no limitations. Look, your ancestors were stuffed into a boat for 6 months to get over here, and then they were beat and stripped of attempting to strip them of humanity, and they were stripped of their culture, and they were stripped of a whole lot of things, but they kept agriculture, they kept music, they kept religion. Contrary to popular belief, they would hide their religion up under Catholicism and the AME church and things of that nature, so they couldn't be stopped. So if you want to believe the system and the man and this and that and this and that, you can believe all that if you want to. Or what you can actually do is step up, educate yourself, and understand. I'm in the game of monopoly. That means I must acquire as much land and as much property and as many businesses as humanly possible. There is no us without a we. There is no we. The we has turned, they flipped the W and made it a me, because that's a European mind state. It is. We are tribal people. We do things in groups. We do things in unison, and we do things together. Bands, music, and things of that nature. Those things are things that are working in concert with each other. You cannot have one without the other. And if you continue to just believe, oh man, this is the way I got to worry about me. That's how you got into the situation that you're in right now. Because you thought, hey man, I could do this without. Yeah, well, you can try. And you can keep that defeatist attitude too. What I want people to do is this. Learn this information, but also learn this. These people with this negative mentality, this chaotic conversation, and the only thing they know is what doesn't go right in your life, or what should be and what is, and what the way we think it should be. It'll never be that way. Please, immediately, just get up. Leave those people. Leave their presence. You don't want to be around them. The reason you don't want to be around them is because the more time you spend around them, the more you'll understand how to fail. Failure is not an option. Failure. Just imagine if your ancestors would have failed. Like, I heard a conversation this weekend at the barbershop, and they were talking about how black folks used to cower, and they used to just bow down. See, that's the story that the mainstream or the people who are in control of the situation want you to believe. But they don't want you to know about slavery revolts. They don't want you to know about all these thousands of people running away. They don't want you to know why the Ku Klux Klan and the police were developed to stop people from running away. If you have to stop me from running away and set up laws for me running away, that means I'm not cowering and doing anything. So you hear about black men being tied to, one arm to one horse and the other arm to another horse, and then the horses get slapped and split in half. Why? Because those black men stood up and fought against the system. They don't want you to know about that book, We Shoot Back. They don't want you to know about those things because, look, these people are not animals. Our ancestors were not animals. They don't want you to know about a black governor who was never allowed to take his seat in the state of Louisiana because the Klan and other people killed him. South Carolina. They don't want you to know about Haiti, South Carolina. They don't want you to know about Wilmington, North Carolina. They don't want you to know about these things. Because if you learn about these things, and you can say, hey, all this went on in the face of tyranny, in the face of the Klan, in the face of Jim Crow segregation, in the face of all these things, redlining and things of this nature. How did my grandfather own several properties, own his own garage, and become the first black man in the city of Chicago to get a contract with the city? If they holding us back, they want you to believe that how many substandard schools. See, they're not funding our schools. That's why we can't excel. No, I don't think we can excel because we're not focusing. How many people have a library in their house? How many of us read to our children? How many of us make academic excellence paramount? And I don't mean just getting A's and B's. I'm talking about you and your child go read, get a book from the library, read a book and talk about that book. And then that way they have a thought process. Now they're thinking, and once they start thinking, their mind is developing faster than even you anticipated. That's why sometimes you hear on the news, even though it's probably tens and thousands of them doing it. That's why every once in a while you hear on the news, some 14-year-old girl graduated from Harvard. That's not because she's exceptional only. That's because her parents took the time to talk to her. My man Big Illinois is a perfect example of this. Big Illinois never talked like a baby to his daughter. And his daughter's in school right now, about to graduate. But I never seen Big Illinois talk to a young person in his family like, goo goo gaga. He talks to them like we're speaking to them. And that's what we need to do. We need to always keep our children. See, you start reading to your children, and then they start thinking. And when they start thinking, you give them other obstacles to overcome. And when they overcome those obstacles, you start putting mathematics in front of your children at an early age. And mathematics become an early age. Then you have the world at your feet. Because when they conquer mathematics, that's the beginning, the middle, and end of everything. That is the beginning, middle, and end of everything. And then you have a young person who's thirsting for knowledge. And when they're thirsting for knowledge, you continue to feed them. And now you have a 10-year-old who has the academic acumen to be in high school. And then you have a 14-year-old who has the academic acumen to be getting a bachelor's degree. And then you have a 19-year-old with his master's. And then you have a 22-year-old with their PhD. This is how we must start thinking. But we keep thinking, oh, no, we're going to go at their pace. No, we can go at our pace. Look, the young ladies and the young gentlemen that I was talking about that are in high school and college at a very young age, that's because their parents start talking to them at a young age. What we're going to have to start doing is having a 10-year plan. I don't need you to graduate at 14. I need you to graduate at 8. Oh, you're too young for that. Not if we create a culture and a community that says our children to do this. Look, when you think about people like Queen Nzinga, who ran a country, I think at 18, you think she graduated from high school and did that? No. Queen Nzinga. These are the people that we need to be learning about. We need to be learning about Mansa Musa. There are thousands of people on that continent that are connected to you genetically. And when they're connected to genetically, it's in you. And if it's in you, that means you haven't realized your potential. And then one of the biggest things we must start doing is stop sharing with other people, not exchanging and helping, sharing information. Just because I know I'm great, I don't have to tell you I'm great. You don't have to tell the next person you're great. Just display greatness. Keep it to yourself. Because people are waiting on other people to fall. And if you never fall, they'll just continue to watch the people who fall by the wayside. There are going to be some people that's just not accepting what I'm saying. And I understand it. I get it. And I don't care. I'm glad. As a matter of fact, I'm glad they don't take the time to come into the podcast. They don't come time to comment, or even if they just sit in the background. Thank you. Because I don't want your kind, because you're negative. You have a negative energy, and negative energy spreads just as fast as positive energy. Now, if you have a brick to lay down in this building or this castle or this village that we're trying to build, this wall we're trying to build around righteous people, bring that brick. We got mortar. But if you don't, continue to do this thing that they're doing in America, worrying about themselves, worrying about you, and we'll see how that works out. Or you could be with us, the righteous people who are trying to help each other and trying to put each other in the best possible situation, and we're going to move forward one way or another. If you have a better idea than me, please reach out to me at HRap_B, or go to theendofthebench.com, send me a message, or HRap at HRap_B at theendofthebench.com. It's a million ways to get in contact with me. Please do so. I'm not saying that I have all the answers. What I am saying is the answers are out here, and we must stop ignoring them. Period. Education is just not in school. My mother. It always goes back to my mother. Look, the things that I'm telling you, I learned directly from my mother. I look like my mother. I look like my father. I look like my parents. I look like my grandfather. Both of them. I look like both my grandmothers because they are in me. These are some of the strongest people I've had the pleasure to come in contact with. And you know what? Learn your lesson, Mama Esther. Boy, you better get your act together. Dolores Pollard. Bring one more bad grade up in here. Annette. My mama. Richard Pollard. Man, don't make me jack you up. And all of that was about academics. And guess what? My mama had 3 versions of the encyclopedia in her house at all times. I ain't had no internet. We had encyclopedias, just equal to the internet. We had 2 sets of red ones and a set of brown ones. Black ones, excuse me, with gold trim. So it was all about learning in my house. And my dad's mom, my dear, I got some bad grades one time. My dear, she ain't put her hands on me. She ain't threatened me, but the way she talked to me made me feel like if I got another bad grade, I would embarrass her. See, some of these people, like I just found out that my grandmother didn't even graduate from high school. One of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Her sister was telling me about her passing the test to become a real estate person. One of the smartest people. She was a principal, a high school principal, and she said her sister was one of the smartest people she ever met. So when I say education, I'm not talking about no damn books. I'm talking about educating yourself, reading, following my girl Rolling right there. She bringing on people who like I do this every week, y'all. Y'all see me do this all show. Bam, I do this all show, every show, because the people who I want you to engage with are people who are going to elevate your mind. I'm only dealing with righteous people on here. I'm only dealing with righteous people. And if you don't have anything positive, I don't want you to listen. Now, I'm gonna cut the show off early because I told y'all I had someplace to go. Well, I'm going to on BS3 Network on YouTube. It is a show that's gonna be on in about 3 minutes called Queens 3 and King. Queens 3 and King. Now, I'm gonna say this and then I'm out. Coming out of this pandemic, it is important to me that you, let me say it again, it is important to me that you take the time to realize what's going on. These people are saying no more masks, we're not really tripping on COVID anymore, but I want you to learn from the COVID pandemic. The COVID outbreak and the pandemic showed us one thing. We need to talk to each other more. How many people had a cold in the last 2 years? That means we need to hand sanitizer and clean our common areas. You used to check on your mother more. You checked on your friends more. Continue that. Rebuild that community. Oh, man, I'm sick of this Zoom. But you know what? You ain't call your mother, your friends, your homeboys, your sisters. You ain't call these people this much. So don't allow the freedom that you're about to get at the end of this pandemic to destroy your family life. It's not cool, it's not necessary, and it's not going to help us at all. So what I want you guys to understand and I want you to do is to continue to listen to podcasts like this and watch podcasts like this. I want you to continue to reach out to your friends and family. I want you to continue to strengthen your community because it's needed right now. Oh man, it's a pandemic and I'm stuck in the house. You called your grandmother, you called your mama, you talked to your fathers, you talked to your uncles, you talked to your aunts. You made peace with people because your ass thought you was going to die. You took vitamins, you exercised in the house, you read more, you enhanced your mind more. Why? Because you afraid. Now that you understand that fear is winding down, it's time to use that same energy to turn that into a positive thing and start loving on your friends and family the same way. The same way. I want you to do that because that's how we will beat this system. That's how we will beat the system. Step out. You watch television shows that you wouldn't have watched. You learn things you wouldn't have known, and you talk to people more than you have in the last 25 years. Was it through something like this? Yeah. But you and your friends got tired of sitting in there looking at them four walls, so y'all created little groups and friendship situations. And every Thursday we gonna do this and all this and all that. But guess what? You did it, and it didn't even hurt you. So guess what? I need you to continue that. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to salute the people who I get inspiration from, which is the Ghetto Boys, Tariq Nasheed, Nori, Tadil, Kwali, Ray Grady, Zoe Williams, Corey Holcomb, Craig Smith, Al Sharp, the Hell of Beat, my homeboy Clay Kane, the great Larry Daniel Favors, the great Dr. Greg Carr, the Queen Mother Karen Hunter, and the Elder, the Black Eagle Joe Madison. I want to thank each and every one of y'all. And y'all know how I end every show by saying dream those dreams and man up and woman up and live those dreams. Because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor and surround sound. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to drop the link to the show that I'm about to be a guest on. And they're live already. But I'm going to drop the link in there. And please support this show too, man. If you think I'm cool, quite sure you think these brothers and sisters are cool as well. I need you guys to just support that too, please. Thank you. Y'all know Thursday, me, Charlotte, and Rated Kev gonna be on that. S Charlotte, S Rated Kev. Y'all know that's an inside joke, but they understand it. But I really would appreciate if you go. They'll go to the link in the chat room right there. I got it highlighted right there. Go to BS3. Queens, 3, and Kings. That's all you have to do. Let me put it up on the screen. This is where I want you to go to support right here. Look this up on YouTube. And where is it? Oh, right there. That's what I want you to go check out. Right now, I'm about to go. Please meet me over there. Don't meet me over there. Beat me over there. I'm running a little late anyway. I supposed to have been done 3 minutes ago, but I don't think they're gonna mind. I really appreciate you guys' support. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tune in. Tomorrow night, me and my son BJ, HRap and B. And then Thursday night, Rated Kev, myself and Charlotte, we're going to talk about TV, commercials, and things of that nature. And then Friday, it's going to be part 2 of D-Grade and EJ. And this dude, Cherry, might come on. I might have back-to-back rapping with HRaps on Friday and Saturdays. We got to figure it out. I'll know by Friday, the end of Friday show. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Please support my man, Dope. And y'all already know. If I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, you know who you need to go to. If you need it, get it from God.
We lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teams, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for ties. Now his people can't eat. She stripping for change for school. Now she giving them brain. She used to that loot. She earned it. Now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him tools to the brain. There's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains and take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans thinking they claim that you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't. You thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children. All our leaders is slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy. Babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth in the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more, but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gonna be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. Told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't. You thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang. Killed our women and our children. All our leaders is slain. It's all a game.
We are Built for this network for the strong, not the weak.